Hey guys, double wide 6, and tonight what I'm working on is a looks like a Toro 6.5 horsepower lawnmower that's not running. Let's check it out. Here it is, Toro recycler, and it looks like it's in good shape. It's self-propelled. It's missing the bag. It has all the cables. So what we're going to do, I know nothing about this mower. We're going to do some preliminary checks on it and, see if we can't get this thing running. So first thing we're going to do is clip off the band brake here. We'll put that up on the handlebar, and that'll allow us to spin the blade and check if we have a bent crankshaft or anything like that. So we'll pull the plug. I'm going to tilt this thing up. We want carburetor side up, and we're going to give this thing a turn. And looking right at the center, that looks real good. Blade looks real nice and straight, and I don't see any big nicks or chunks. Sometimes you'll have a sheared flywheel key if you see any big chips out of the blade. So everything there looks good. There's a belt on the self-propel mechanism, and looks like we have a mulch plug, so that's good too. Don't really even need a blade. And the guy took care of the mower because he scraped the deck. So hopefully this one just needs some carb work. Just taking a look at this carb, you can see the primer's pretty beat. I carry those. Also here, the throttle plate, it's not really, well now it is, it's starting to spring back on its own. But it was a little bit stiff, meaning that this carburetor may be a little bit gummed up. The air filter is looking, from what I can see, it's looking dirty. Yeah. So we'll put on a new air filter. And I think what we want to do is throw some fuel in this thing and see if we can get her to fire. Just want to check the oil here. Oil looks really clear. I had it tipped over, so it's running up. It almost looks like it's overfilled, but it probably isn't because I had it tipped up there. So let's see what we got for fuel. That's bone dry. I got these mowers from this guy that restores mowers. Owns a hardware store near me, but he said he ran out of time, so he was just getting rid of them, didn't even look at them. But I just feel like that's usually not the case with most people that work on small engines. But alright, we're going to see if this thing will fire. So what we're going to do here is just pull this plug. Either that wasn't pulled in a long time, or it was really tight. Doesn't look that bad. And I'm just going to put a little 2-cycle fuel in here, just a shot. And what I want to try and do is get this guy to fire. And if it fires, I'm going to try the self-propel and see if these wheels turn. Alright, so there's something wrong with the rope where it's not catching in there in the starter. It did fire, so it has compression. And there's some, oh, I checked the wheels. The wheels did spin. So we got to take a look at the pull start. So we're going to take a look at what's happening when you pull that start, there's a lot of slack before those dogs are coming out and grabbing. Not sure what's up with that, but you know, I know the dogs are coming out because it's grabbing somewhat, but it's just not coming out right away. So there's some 1/4 inch screws here. We're just gonna pull these, 4 of them, and then you gotta remove this dipstick. Try and pick this straight up so I don't lose those screws. There we go. Drop the dipstick in there, and I'm just going to retrieve the screws out of there. Alright, so yeah, see the thing's turning but not the flywheel, so it's not engaging the flywheel. There's usually two 1/4 inch little self-tapping screws, and this is one of those non-serviceable starters. So we'll take a look in here and see if we can't figure this out. So here's what we have. This is the starter cup. If you look in here, you can see it's scraping in there because it's not quite engaging here. The starter cup, from what I can see, is in good shape. There's no issues with this thing, and the problem is actually in here with these dogs. So I got to set you up on the camera, and we'll take a look at how this works. So the way this works is when you pull the rope, those teeth come out, but if you pull real slow, see how they're like barely even coming out? So the rope's getting pulled out and the teeth just aren't coming out far enough. So I think all we really have to do here is blow this thing out and oil it, and I think that'll allow the teeth to extend a little quicker. They're not as responsive as they should be. Maybe there's like some extra drag on them. So what I'm going to do is use some compressed air. Watch your eyes. And I think I want to use my mixture. I use a mixture of acetone and automatic transmission fluid, 50% each. And then I put that in my, I got this Sure Shot spray bottle, so I make it myself. And you know, from what I've seen, this penetrating oil is better than liquid wrench, or WD-40 for that matter. And what I'm going to do is just pull the rope a few times, kind of work that in there, and you can see those dogs are coming way out. Maybe they weren't quite getting out, but regardless, I'm going to work this a little bit. And I think that's all that this is going to need. The way Tecumseh makes these starters, they're not serviceable. You can't, like, I've had the springs break on here. In fact, got one right here from a snowblower, and the spring broke. You can't get to the spring because this thing is, you know, sleeves like bent and doesn't come off. So we're going to try that, put it back on, and see if that doesn't work. Okay, so I reattached the recoil, this plastic cover I didn't screw down, and I took the spark plug off so it won't start. I want to just give her a couple pulls and see if she's grabbing. It's grabbing. It slipped one time, but I think that's because I got so much of that penetrating oil in there. So that seems real good because that wasn't grabbing. Next thing I want to do is take a look at the carburetor bowl. So what I want to do is just drop the bowl on this thing. This carburetor looks like it's in kind of rough shape. I'm pretty sure it's going to need a primer bulb just from the looks of it, but I don't know. There wasn't any fuel in the tank, so maybe it's not as bad as it appears on the outside. This is the main jet. Well, looks like there's 2 O-rings and one that's gigantic and shouldn't be there or something. Well, it definitely looks dry. A little bit of residue. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I think I'm just going to clean these up a little bit and see if it'll run. So I cleaned everything out of here. This is just pitting in here. It's actually etched into the bottom. I can't get it off. So I'm just putting a new bowl nut on, and you can see the fuel was drained out of here. There's just a little bit in the bottom of this carburetor, and the rest of the carburetor looks pretty good up top. So I'm gonna try and fire it up with some fuel and see what we get here after I put this on. So I tightened up the plastic, I've added fuel, and I do have the air filter here, so put on a new air filter. So here's what we found. The mower didn't start because it wasn't priming. So I'm going to try and change out that primer at some point. And the other thing I noticed is the self-propel wasn't working. And if I move this, I can hear everything's connected with both wheels. So that means both these gears are tied in the gear shaft. And it must be something with the belt or the tensioning. So I don't have too much time, but we're gonna quick pop this guard and see if we can't figure out what's going on there. Okay, so I tilted it up on its side. There's no screws from the top going through the guard here, so you gotta do it from the bottom. So there's the first one. And up in here's the next one. Both 3/8. I can see the belts on there. Yeah, I think that belt's a little loose actually. I'll show you guys. So here's a look at the belt. You can see there, it seems like there's a lot of play there. What I'm going to do is tension it. So locking down the handle there. That looks pretty good. I mean, at least good enough that it should spin. So probably what we got to do is see why this thing's not spinning. Unless these wheels are on backwards, they won't spin backwards, but they will spin forward. Not sure what's up with this. That seems like decent tension though. We'll take a look at it with the cover off. The plan is to try and start it and see if this belt's turning this pulley, and we'll take it from there. I think our wheels are on backwards or something, or the gearbox is blown. Well, that pulley on the top is definitely spinning, and it's not turning the shaft. And I noticed that this thing's kind of wiggly on here. So I think this gearbox is shot for sure. But we're going to take a look in there and see what it looks like. I think we'll have a worn gear or something. Alright, try and pop that off. Well, this is how you learn about mowers and how they work. Plenty of grease in there. I gotta figure out what's going on now. Later here, I'm back looking at this thing. I've been thinking about what's going on here, and I have a little more time today. So anyhow, this pulley spins, and there's an input shaft that goes through here with the gear, and this gear on the bottom of that pulley, it's in there. It's not meshing with this pulley. I'm trying to shine some light in there. Really hard to see, but anyhow, it's not meshing. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. And I don't know if this thing's missing snap rings or what the deal is, but it's this whole housing should be pushed up this way, and that would make the gear mesh for sure. So I think what I want to do is just try and shift this thing over and lock it in place. Alright, so here's my plan. I'm pretty sure, like I said, if I move this thing over, the gear will mesh and things should be fine. There's a ton of grease in here, so I'm going to take a lot of this grease, re-grease this thing. That should be good. Stick this back on here, and there we go. That goes like that. And I'm just gonna get these bolts in here. So that's all got to be together. You know, this isn't a permanent fix. If you want to fix the thing, you can get a new transmission. I can link you one down below. But this should get somebody by. So we'll tighten these guys up, and then we'll look into how we can pull this thing over, or up I should say. So alright, so all we need to do is pull this thing up, and then the gear will mesh. And it probably sometimes moves a little bit and the wheels engage, because I know the wheels did work for a second when I tried the thing out. So I'm thinking I could probably use these holes and wire tie this to lock it in place, and it shouldn't move. Let me go see what I have. So what I came up with is I have some mechanics wire, and this stuff's real strong and works well. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna loosen up this bolt a little bit. And then I'm gonna take this wire, hopefully this piece is long enough, and I'm thinking maybe we can wrap that around the wire. There's two holes. I think I want it to pull up more, so I want to focus on this hole. Yeah, we're going to go through here like this. Can't see what I'm doing. And then maybe like thinking around that. See how that's pulling up? And then if we can tension this wire, so that'll go on there like that. And I'm thinking as I twist that wire, we can tighten it, just like my kids' braces. Alright. So we'll put that on there. And this wire's good because you can really put some pressure on it and get it to hold together, or not break or get brittle on you. And give us like 2 more turns. Yeah, it's very tight. Alright, we're going to have to flip it over and see if that'll work. I think it will. I'm going to snip this off. Alright. So I've been trying to give it a little time for the oil to settle back down in this thing. It's pretty cold out today, and this thing's sitting on its side. And anyhow, I'm digging this primer out while I'm waiting. I'm just gonna tap this guy in. If I can find a hammer. That'll do it. Alright guys, so we're going to try and start this thing, and we'll see if the self-propel engages. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to try it outside now. Alright, we're gonna check the self-propel on this one. Do a field test. Alright guys, that one seems real good. Pretty easy option there. Didn't have to get a transmission. And the gears look like they were in good shape. The grease was in there, so I imagine that thing will work for 5-6 years, no issues. I mean, worst case scenario, put another wire on, but yeah, should be a pretty good mower. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. As always, have a great day. We'll see you.